Hi everybody, my name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. So today I want to talk about how every encounter, every person we meet has a meaning, has a lesson in it. No matter how brief a connection we have with somebody or how long we have a connection with somebody, there is always a lesson to be learned. Now, before we reincarnate every lifetime, we prepare. We get like the way I kind of envision it. I was kind of laughing about this earlier. It's like my soul, right? For my lifetime coming into this lifetime, I can, my soul was in a space, I don't know, with a load of other souls, all the souls that I was going to meet in this lifetime, and each soul then is assigned a role, a different role, and a different lesson for us to learn. So I can just envision this. I'm there with a clipboard. Obviously, my soul isn't there with a clipboard, but like little clipboard going, right, guys, this is going to be the big one. This is going to be the one where I'm going to have to learn these lessons. I'm going to have to go through all these traumatic events. I'm going to have to learn and grow and this, that, the other. So we're going to have some big roles for you now. And I'd be like, who wants to be my narcissist of 8 years? Who wants to be my toxic, parent or whatever, or who wants to be even that person on the street that makes me feel good by smiling, and then you're kind of assigning all these roles to these people. So all like before we actually reincarnate onto the planet for a new lifetime, we prepare, we plan ahead, and everyone is assigned a role. And like in fairness, like everything changes from lifetime to lifetime. So, whereas like I could have been the narcissist to somebody else in a past life, or, I could have been a parent to my parent in this life, if you get me. So everything kind of changes, and all souls we know over and over again, and that's the beauty of it. Because what I've come to understand is there's such beauty when you recognize another soul. When you meet a member of your soul tribe or your soul family, you kind of recognize them. You feel a bond with them. You feel a connection with them. You feel like they are your family. And it's so beautiful. This used to confuse me at one stage, because I remember a few years ago, I'd meet people of the opposite sex, and I'd feel such a big connection with these people, and they could be in a relationship, I could be in a relationship, and there would be nothing sexual about it, but because they were the opposite sex and because of society or whatever, my upbringing or my beliefs, I was kind of going, do I fancy this person? Why do I feel so drawn to them? Am I attracted to them? But it wasn't actually an attraction. It was because our souls recognized each other, that we were all part of the same soul tribe, and that we were here to teach each other a lesson. And I think that's it's so beautiful. And I've realized, the connections we can make with people, even if they're brief, even if they're not lifelong, they're truly magical. And I know there's one person in particular, a really good friend of mine. He's passed away now nearly 9 years. But to me, he was a guardian angel in life. And he's a guardian angel now for me because he still gives me messages. But he encouraged me and guided me and saw my light before I even thought it was possible. And he introduced me to people who made he had a massive impact on my life. But the people he introduced me to also did, and also became a part of my soul tribe for a very, very long time. And it makes you think how significant every little encounter is. And that's the thing, actually, I only realized as well today. Even though that person, my friend, he introduced me to a massive group of friends that were my soul tribe. Well, he introduced me to another soul brother who introduced me to his people who became my soul family for so long. And, even though that they're no longer a part of my life, they still played a massively significant role in my growth for that stage. And he actually introduced me to somebody, a relative of his over in America now, who I see as a soul sister. And actually, inadvertently, I wouldn't have met my current best friend if he hadn't have introduced me to the people I knew, because her ex knew my soul brother. So it is all interconnected, and it's all it's pre-orchestrated. It's all supposed to happen. And there's such beauty in it. And the lessons we learn from these interactions, like as me and my best friend, she was thanking me for helping her over the last few years since we met. But I had to thank her as well, because it goes both ways. I've grown because of her, and she's grown because of me. And even the brief encounters we might have online, we grow because of these interactions. And like, even if it's the smallest interaction, that 5 minutes or speaking to somebody. Like, for example, today I was in the shop, and the person working there was Portuguese, and she was speaking to Portuguese customers, and they were having great banter, great crack, but I understood the language because I used to work with Brazilians and Portuguese people. So I was able to have a bit of banter with her and say thank you to her in her native language. Stuff like this. This isn't just random occurrence. This stuff happens for a reason. It happens to light us up. That person that smiles to you on the street, that's important. That was orchestrated for you that day to change something within you. And we take for granted, because sometimes connections can be so brief, and we take for granted how significant those connections are as well. So, like, I'll give you an example. The reason I was guided to do this video. So, like, at the moment, I'm been doing my healing journey, and I'm on the twin flame journey as well. So, like, I've been single a long time, but I identify as single and unavailable, or single by choice, because it wards off the people I'm not interested in, or who I know aren't on my vibration. So I got broadband installed on Friday, and I wasn't even going to say this story, but this is very significant to what I want to talk about. The guy that was installing my broadband actually asked me, was I single, and asked me for my number. And even though we did text for a couple of days, it ended there. But I knew straight away that this happened for a reason, because, as I said, I choose to be unavailable because I'm happy waiting till I'm fully healed, and also waiting for a high vibrational soulmate or my twin flame to go back. So for me to actually accept somebody's number, or be attracted enough to somebody to accept their number, is very, very unusual. So I knew there was some significance there. I had the intuition he was going to ask as well, so I knew this was divinely guided. It was there for a lesson. And I even said this, I think I scared him away with my crazy. He's not ready for this shit. But like I knew straight away that there was meaning to this, even if nothing happened out of it, which it didn't. But that small interaction had a massively significant impact on me. So reason being is because, obviously, say for the last couple of years, like I've always had a hard time trusting. I've hard time opening my heart. And like, I've always been very, very good at giving love, but I haven't ever really been very good at receiving it. But because of other things that happened over the last few years, I shut down completely. I closed my heart more than I ever have done in my life. And, as I'm growing the last year, I am going through lessons and encounters and different things that are like this. With this encounter last Friday is an example of another encounter, say last year. I felt rejection. My rejection wound came up, my abandonment wound came up. And you do, like, this happens. But I had to ask myself, why? Why do I feel rejected right now? Because I didn't lose anything here. And why am I seeking outside myself for external validation? I don't need that. The love I need is within myself. So I had to sit with that for a couple of days and ask myself, why was I triggered? What is this trying to teach me? And after, what I found over the last year is, every time I get kind of a lesson like this, my heart will close back up again. It will. And it'll seize back up as like, no, I'm not doing this again. Never letting anyone in again. Oh, no. No. And then I'll actually, when I go through the process of learning the lesson behind why I'm triggered, learning the lesson behind that rejection wound, then I come back and my heart opens bigger than it did before it closed. So, even though the interaction with this guy from Friday for a couple of days, we texted a couple of days and that was it. It was significantly important for me because it helped me to learn what was left within my heart to heal. And now, even though I closed my heart up over the weekend while I was trying to understand this lesson, I'm actually bursting with love and joy and excitement now because of the lessons I've learned. like no interest in pursuing that person anymore, but I'm so grateful for what it's after teaching me. And I knew straight away that there was a lesson in this. There was something. Every person we meet, every person we encounter is here to teach us something. And I got such a mind-blowing lesson, because it's after opening my heart more, even though I had a few things that ended up closing my heart. And like, I'm so grateful, because I'm actually better now than I was before I had that interaction. Do you get me? So that's the importance of anyone we meet, any encounter, any correspondence, you know. And like, even if it's a simple message on online, like somebody saying thank you for the message I put out, these little interactions, they're so important, and we take them for granted. That's the thing. I have always known that everyone teaches us a lesson, but I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now over the last few days in understanding this. Because even the ones that have left, so it's like, you know, even if they're, like, that's the thing, even if they're karmic relationships, if they're abusive relationships, if they're unhealthy encounters, they still teach us something. And you know what, my ex narcissist of 8 years, he keeps coming up. Like, I keep getting reminders of him, and I'm trying to understand why. You know, why am I still, like, obviously it keeps coming up for me to be reminded of it. But I'm actually starting to realize over the last couple of days is that I'm being reminded of it because I have to release it. I have there's more for me to learn, for me to release. But I'm starting to think I need to feel more gratitude for it. I know that sounds crazy because of the abuse and the shit I went through. But I have to be more grateful for even the bad relationships, because they taught me so much. If it wasn't for the abuse I went through, I wouldn't be sitting here today able to use my voice and my experience to help other women and other people. You know, so I have to start being, I know it's crazy because, like, you know, those relationships, we kind of, the hard ones, the karmic ones, the abusive ones, we want to forget them. We don't think, for a long time we feel, I suppose, victimized or victim mentality because of it. But there is something to be grateful for, because I would not be the person I am if it wasn't for those lessons that I learned. So it's making me feel more grateful for even traumatic relationships. And it's making me feel grateful for all the relationships that I've experienced and lost. You know, like, as I said, there was a massive group of friends, or, you know, a group of friends of mine, and I believe them to be my soul family. And to this day, I love them so much. Even though we don't interact anymore, I still love them so much for what they did for me back then. They helped me grow so much. But every friend I've ever had that I'm no longer friends with, they really made a massively huge impact positively on my life at that time. You know, and that's the thing, where, like, not everyone is supposed to stay forever. You know, a certain amount of people might come into your life for a brief stint of time for that energy, for what you need at that time, and then it might expire. But we always kind of feel regretful or feel sorry for ourselves because that happened, or people left, or the abandonment was triggered. We feel rejected. But when you look back, like after the last few days, I'm feeling such gratitude. And I've always felt grateful to those people, but I feel more gratitude. I feel much more immense gratitude for everyone that I've ever encountered. Every experience I've ever encountered now. Because there's such magic to be found in these connections. There really is. And I love the way it orchestrates. I love the way it is divinely guided, and how everything links up to actually that moment in time. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, my broadband installation was delayed for a couple of weeks, and it's random allocation for the guy who comes out and installs it. So it was random in the 3D, but in actual fact, it was universally orchestrated or premeditated by my own soul for this lesson to be learned. So like I'm just, it bursts me open with such joy and love and happiness. I'm buzzing the last 2 days because I learned so much from just that brief encounter. And that's how beautiful it is. And that's the thing, we need to start appreciating these encounters more. And even if it is that just brief encounter of somebody smiling at you on the street or having that interaction with the cashier at a shop, that's beautiful. Like, this is what brings us joy, and that's there to teach you a lesson, no matter how brief. Because this was all prepared for us by ourselves before we reincarnated. But we take for granted, we neglect the fact that these meetings, these encounters are so significant. And the networking we can do by these brief encounters. You know what I mean? If you just mention something to somebody, they'll end up knowing something that you're going to need. This kind of stuff. Everything happens for a reason. Every encounter it's special. It really is. No matter how brief or how long an encounter is, or a friendship is, or a relationship is, it has something to teach you. It really does. It has something to open your mind to. It has a lesson to learn. It might be a trigger lesson where that person will trigger you, and then that trigger will lead you to learn what you need to heal and what you need to release for yourself. And that's what I found over the last few days. It's just like say when I've had lessons around love before and rejection around love before, the lesson was bigger, the lesson was harder, I had more to heal. But yet when I did heal it, my heart opened more. And the fact that I had only 2 days of work to do this time, I was like, yay! This means that the healing I'm doing is opening my heart more and more so that I can bring in more. And that's the secret as well. When we open ourselves up we're more receptive to the interactions or the encounters that we make. This brings in more opportunities for us. Because when we live with an open heart, when we live in love, and it's not just about romantic love, but we need to open our hearts and be receptive to opportunities, to relationships, friendships, business opportunities, everything. It all comes down to your open heart. You can't manifest if your heart is closed. You can't manifest if you're living in fear. You can't manifest if you doubt, and you cannot attract in abundance if your heart is closed. And I'm slowly but surely opening my heart more and more, and to actually feel that my heart is open, exploding open more, just from a brief interaction, and because of just a bit of lessons that I had to learn and heal around my rejection wound. And I'm actually buzzing the last 2. It could be the sunny weather as well, but I think it was because I spent a bit of time in nature at the weekend, and I was actually able to understand why I was triggered. Because why should we feel rejection for being too good? I think I'm overqualified for a lot of people, to be honest with you. And I shouldn't feel bad because somebody isn't ready for my kind of energy. And that's what it feels like. I was overqualified for that person, and he's just not ready for this kind of, what do I call it? Divine feminine goddess energy. So, but I'm buzzing because of that lesson. That lesson has opened my heart so much, and it's made me more receptive to letting anything in, I suppose. Not anything, but just work, everything, opportunities, abundance, friendship, and love. I am on the twin flame journey, so obviously I was kind of waiting for my twin flame. But this whole encounter just made me realize that I am so high vibe now that I want somebody high vibe to match my energy. And I'll get that. But I obviously had blocks around my heart again, and I healed those blocks over the weekend, and now my heart is bursting open again, and I'm like, yay, I want that to start happening. So that's the thing. It really does build momentum when we take every encounter seriously. Take it for what it is. Ask yourself, what is it making me feel? Why is it making me feel happy? Why is it making me feel sad? Why am I feeling triggered because of this person? Ask yourself all of this, because every single encounter has a message for you. Every encounter has a lesson for you. And especially when it comes to being triggered. if you feel a trigger is an unhealed wound within yourself. So if somebody triggers you, it's nothing to do with that person and everything to do with what you need to release and heal yourself. So understand that and appreciate every friendship, relationship, encounter that you have, because they are significant. And when I look back, like, everyone who has ever entered my life and left has made a beautifully positive impact on my life, even the negative ones, because the negative ones have helped me grow and become more resilient and stronger than I ever could be. And, you know, you should be grateful for those as well. And that's where forgiveness comes in. You know, releasing past trauma because we forgive that person. Because you understand that you, like, that person, that soul, volunteered to be the dickhead in this lifetime for you so that you could learn those hard lessons. Do you know? So you and that person's soul were probably great friends, like, but because they were like, look, I know you have to have a lot of lessons this time. I'll be the dickhead this time. You know, that kind of way. So I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo and stuff, like, but our souls did pre-organize all of these meetings. And we were up there with this clipboard going, who wants to be my narc? This kind of stuff. I know obviously it wasn't like that, but yeah, you get me. So you can't really hate on the soul that volunteered to be an asshole, because they volunteered to be that asshole so that you could learn and grow. So yeah, understand that as well. And that's why we forgive the past, because we actually organized for the past to be like that. Because every little thing that happens in our lives, we preordained so that we could learn and grow and build this life for ourselves and pursue our life purpose and our life mission. So yeah, understand that. Understand that every encounter, every friendship, every soul person, every soul is a part of your soul tribe in a sense. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the thing, you might feel an attraction towards somebody and think, oh my God, they're the opposite sex, maybe I'm into them. You're not into them. You've actually just found a person from your soul tribe. You know, well, you could be into them. It depends. It does depend, obviously. But, like, you know, not everyone, not just because they're the opposite sex doesn't mean that it is actually a sexual connection. It could actually be that you've recognized somebody from your soul tribe. So it could be a soul brother, soul sister, any kind of thing like that. So trust that. Trust that, like, any kind of high energy you get around someone is probably soul recognition in some form or way, that you're meeting somebody that was you planned to meet so that you could learn some lessons. And, like, that's the beauty as well of having those interactions. Because when you meet a soul sibling, say a soul family member, you kind of just know by the energy that this person is definitely somebody you've known before. And I can safely say that, you know, I'm surrounded now by, like, soul sisters and soul brothers, and I'm so grateful for them. And I'm so grateful for my past soul families as well. I'm grateful for anyone that's ever come into my life, because now I know and realize the significance of it all and the lessons I've learned, you know, even over the last few days. My mind is blown. I love learning, but I love learning more about myself, and I love unblocking those wounds so that I can heal myself and become more heart open. Because it's amazing, like, how we can change so quickly, so rapidly from a brief interaction, you know. And even if it is just that smile on the street or something, this can lift ourselves and fill our souls with joy. So don't take any of that for granted. Every little bit of it is important, and every little part of our lives and every encounter we come across, it is a lesson. It's a soul lesson. It has meaning. And no matter how brief or how long a connection is with somebody or an encounter is with somebody, there is a lesson to be learned. So ask yourself, what is the universe trying to tell me because of this? Because you'll figure some amazing things out about yourself. And it transforms you, and it opens your heart more, and it's just, you'll be buzzing once you know that once you overcome those lessons and learn from those meetings. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this helps. If it resonates, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can help as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path. Thanks. Bye-bye.